Hi everyone, very good morning or good evening. Hope you are doing well. Welcome back to ITOM Batch 3 Day 25. How are you doing guys today?
Thanks, Jay. How are you doing?
Very good, Ajay.
Good. I'm also doing good. Thanks for joining. Okay, so before proceeding again, do you have any questions from the last cover sessions, guys? Anyone have any questions?
Sorry, Ajay. Actually, I didn't look at that because of occupied with some other tough stuff with my company stuff. I'll check and I'll get back to you on that, Ajay, if anything in future.
Sure, no issues. Right.
Thank you, Ajay.
Okay, so then let's get proceed for the next things which we are discussing last time, router discovery. And I found out what mistake or what issues or what things I'm doing not correct. That's why we are facing that issue. Farida, your camera is on. Yeah, okay. So let me share my screen quickly. I hope my screen is visible to everyone.
Yeah.
Yes. The first thing which I'm doing mistake is credentials basically, right? So let me go back and showcase you what the credentials issue I have. So, as I mentioned, the public credentials is the out of the box credentials which is available on SNMP type of devices, but that's correct. That's available most of the time if customer is not change those credentials. But here that the correct credentials is public too, because that has been changed and I'm just trying with public only, so that's why the credentials are failing earlier. So I just gone through the docs of the service now and find out that's not the correct credentials here, and that's why I just modified the credentials, and after that I see my credentials are working. So first thing example, like we will test the credentials. Let's see. So my credentials is validating. Second thing, why that discovery is not triggering, if you see that when we are running discovery, the Windows discovery is going to be triggered, right? That's happening due to that the same device have Windows, that SNMP or network thing is running on the Windows as well. So they configured in that way that on the both single device there are two OS is running, one is Windows and one is SNMP, or we can say two protocols is running, one is Windows and one is SNMP, and based on the classifications which we have configured and the priority side, that is triggering in every time Windows first of all, right? So what I did, I simply go to port and props here, and I simply change the classification priority, right? So out of the box class priority will be one is Windows, second is for SNMP, SSH, and third is for SNMP, right? So what I did, I just put one SNMP is on classification priority number one. Then I just change WMI to window 2 and SSH to number 3, right? So this is the basic steps or basic classification, things will be taken care in the Sesam prop if when we are running that one, right? So I just change that one to classify that device first as a Windows, sorry, first as a Linux, and then next discovery will be go ahead, right? So here if you see, now it's going to be classified as SNMP classifications, and that is triggered here. Let me open the input payload. And if you see now, we are able to see that port 161 SNMP UDP is open, right? That's required for SNMP classifications and network type of device discovery. Apart from that, you can also see the port 135 WMI protocol is also open. You can see that 53 DNS is resolved. 137 port UDP is also resolved, right? So, but as I mentioned, if we change the priority of classifications, then why we are able to see that particular port is open and that's going to classify. Also, as I mentioned that, in descriptions that is getting this particular one, Cisco internet work operating system software something is right. So the reason is only on the single machine that two OS or two protocols are running. One is Windows and one is SNMP, and that's why we are not able to classify because we are not classifying in the correct priority, right? So sometimes that cases can be arise. So we have to just to understand from the customer why it's not going to be doing or classifying in the correct way. That's we have to be understand that particular scenario, and then we have to be modify the classifications priority for that particular machines, right? If you see now here SNMP classifications, as well as I mentioned, whenever you are doing classified classifications, you are able to get the OIDs, right? So I'm able to get 51 OIDs here. If just quickly open this particular one, and meanwhile it's opening, let me open the SNMP OID. Okay, SNMP system OIDs. Okay, if you see here, as I mentioned that SNMP OIDs have a tree, right? So 1, 1.3, 1.3.6 and all right. And that's creating 1.3.6, 1.2, 1.5 is SNMP octet string where this particular information is going to be captured, right? In 1.1 that's blank, not blank, but that information is going to be captured. In the next, if you go to this one, they are capturing the object ID, right? So always see or always try to find out this SNMP object ID, and whatever here, this is my correct SNMP object ID, which I need to be find out in SNMP classification or SNMP OID table, right? So if your device is not classifying, now it's classified because already one record is created with this particular OID. But if your device is not going to be classified, just go to this classification input probe and then just search for SNMP object ID, this one, and it should be like that only. If you see the object string or octet string something is there, but object ID is simple one record here and one liner, and just copy this one. And if I simply go to internet to search this particular OID, you can see, right? Let me open a couple of records. Yeah, here. If I see, so what is this? This particular OID belongs to Cisco 2621. Now we, from that particular things, we are able to understand where it is. It just gone. Okay. Now, yeah, Cisco 2621. So we understand from that is manufacturer is Cisco basically, and the model is Cisco 2621, right? That we can classify the same way. If I go here and search for this OID, it's 209. Let me put equal to here. Right, so you can see that's mentioned the same way. Right, so what is they mention is a manufacturer is Cisco Systems, that is model is 2621, and that is classifying that particular device as IP router, and standard network router classifiers, they are triggering based on that, right? So once that is triggered, then if I open this one, so this is SNMP classification again. network router table, it's going to be that one. And then once the criteria is going to be matched, it's going to be triggered this one. This is the classification trigger, OIDs, and what is the trigger props, right? So what they have mentioned as a classification criteria, routing equals to true, might be in switch, that will be switch equals to true to identify that's a switch or routing, right? Then these are the OIDs basically and the trigger props, right? So whenever that's classified as a router, this particular identification section phase will be triggered for network router, right? So from here we can identify that one. Now if I go to the device, if I open this device in the CMDB, so what what informations we are able to discover? We are able to discover manufacturer, as you know, asset tag is out of the box not discovered, you know, right? So that's a manual informations which we have to be captured. Automatically asset will be created for that. Cisco systems 2621 serial number we are able to capture, model ID we are able to capture, and then we are able to capture the description. So in description the complete information is mentioned in whatever they have stored in their OID, right? So locations, contact, and other informations, the IP we are able to get it, right? And apart from that, we are able to discover their related items, which is a router interface, exit interface, routing rules, next shopping rules, network adapter, serial number, CINM, DNS, right? So these are the basic things which we are able to discover in out of the box with that particular IP router, right? So any questions in it, first of all?
Ajay, Eklavya here. The very first thing, but you said like, you have rectified the credentials.
Mm-hmm.
So what exactly it was doing earlier, which is after making a changes, this has resolved, because you were using public earlier also, right? In public.
Right. Now I'm using public too. Right. So credentials are incorrect. Right. So if I go here on this particular course.
Just one second. So you said so you were earlier using public as a credential. So now you have created the another set of credential with the name of public 2, and that is the one you are using?
Right. Public 2. If you're able to see on my screen, right. So for that, the password for SNMP device hour is going to be listed as a public 2. Right. So earlier, in simple words, if I say earlier, I'm using the incorrect credentials that I just modified and update with correct credentials, which is public 2. I hope you're getting it.
I'm just getting only that thing. That is that earlier you were using public, now you're using public 2, which is like correct credential in order to just do the discovery part.
Right, exactly. That is the only thing to correct the credentials, because I thought, that's my understanding on that out of the box, because somehow I understanding that public, whatever the service community SNMP community string, which is activate on this machine, but that's not the case. That's not enabled with public. That's enabled with public 2 here, right? So I use the correct credentials in simple word.
But we can see the name public only, right, AJ?
It's a username. It's name.
Okay.
Okay, it's a name. So name I can put anything, right?
Yeah.
I just password here. It's public too. If I put again public example.
Okay.
Public,
Okay.
let me save this. Yes. So it's just like customer is provided you the wrong credentials and you are trying, but it's not working, right? That's the case only. So it's simple. If I say I found that credential is not working, I simply reach out to again to customer and showcasing that's not working, sir. You have provided the incorrect credentials, and then he realized, oh, sorry, as a I provided you public, but it's not the correct credential. You just use public 2. So if I just add 2 here only and save it, and I just when I go to test again, it's working. So that's the case only, right? So it just a simple example. It's just a mistake from the customer who provided the credentials to me. So that's not the correct.
Ajay, just a one question here. Since you did that and then reaching out to customer and customer saying back and forth is happening, is there any way the moment you get the credential, you will be able to do that?
So we are able to test the credentials immediately.
No, I mean, there were, I guess, you were suggesting some third-party tool also, which you can install and do that.
No, I'm not recalling third-party tool I'm discussing. Right. So basically, now let's take an example or scenario in that way. You have your laptop, right? And you ask me, Ajay, this is my username and password. You can log in your laptop. Till that time, I'm not able to test with login credentials to your laptop. How do you know the credentials are correct or incorrect? Right? So if it is it's stored in third-party tool as well. If you mention that I cannot provide you my direct credentials on your chat or email or something, you can go to my password or check my credentials and log into that machine, right? I'm still getting the credentials from the password and trying to log in that machine. Till the time I'm not trying to log in, I cannot confirm that the credentials are correct or incorrect. So whenever we are receiving any credentials from the customer, it's not like that we have to be try for all machines, but at least 5 to 10 machines we can use that particular credentials using the test credential this particular thing, right? If we are testing, then we can say it's correct or incorrect only. Okay, so that's only the way to validate the credentials.
No, I mean, my idea of asking this particular question is, if you remember, a couple of years back when we were having NNM and OVPIs and all those, during that period in time, whenever we are getting SNMP strings and all those, so we immediately check it through the command line by shooting the SNMP string, that whether we are getting the response from the network device or not. So in that way, we immediately get things check that yes, we are able to reach. So when we are putting this thing in NNM, we will be able to just certainly able to discover the network device or so. So that is what I was thinking of.
Right, but why should we go to, I am always preferring to do the simple things, not the complicated, right? So if I'm not aware about an MM or command line and anything, why should do that? If I just need to only the test, the credentials are correct or not, I can come to ServiceNow credentials table and just check it immediately using the test credentials. Getting my point?
Yeah,
so only to way that test the credentials. Somehow when you are running the command or NNM commands, whatever it is, I'm not sure about that, but when you are running that one, you are also doing the test, validate the credentials only, right? You can do it from here as well.
Okay.
Now community or ServiceNow credentials table directly.
No, it's fine.
Okay, it's fine.
Please.
Mastan, do you have any questions?
Sorry, I was talking on mute. Ajay, I have a question regarding MIB and YDs. Is that for particularly only for network and discovery, or like how it is, Ajay?
Right. So MIBs and OIDs will come in the picture when we are talking about SNMP, protocol or network type of devices. So that's working on SNMP protocol, and SNMP protocol work on MIB or OIDs, basically object identifiers, right? So why, let me give you one simple use case here. Now I need to be, let me show if I have event enable on this machine. Events, yes, all events is there. So let's take an example. when I'm going to use MIB in discovery, there are no much uses in MIB side. But if I'm connecting or doing event management here, right? And I am getting the SNMP traps from the XYZ source. Right. So when I'm getting SNMP SNMP traps from that particular source, I'm not sure what OID is capturing what informations. Let me open just because this is not SNMP, but just let me tell you in that way. So example, in description, I'm getting OIDs 1.1.1 is name, 1.1.2 is something, 1.1.3 is something, right? Because every informations in that one is coming to description or additional informations example, right? And I'm not sure what OID is capturing what informations for the event. How do I going to be do the correct event rule, or how do I do a mapping of the the particular fields to the alert table, right? In that case, what I do, I will install SNMP browser on my system and upload that particular MIB on that particular one, and I'm able to get the complete picture of it, right? And it will help me to map the correct source to target field while I'm creating or configuring the event rule, right? So that is one use case here using that one. Second use case, as I just mentioned to here as well, if you go and if I type SNMP MIBs is also there, right? So sometimes, couple of times, or sometimes will happen, some new device will be there, which we are not able to discover, right? The first thing is due to classifications, because might be credentials are correct, but classifications is not there, SNMP IDs are not there. We can create it, right? But still we are not able to get the complete picture or complete mapping of the devices. Simply come and upload that MIB here, and just create a record there with that particular one. So what will ServiceNow do? ServiceNow will learn the patterns, or ServiceNow will learn that MIB from this particular table, and in put that particular data while you're running discovery of any particular type of devices using that MIB, right? So it's automatic, you no need to do anything. It just you are giving some guidance or some informations to ServiceNow system. Okay, this is the MIB which I'm going to use for that particular type of device, and it will automatically use whenever you are running discovery for that type of device. Simple, that's it. I hope you're getting it.
Yes, Ajay. Because yesterday you discussed regarding all the day before yesterday. Did you discuss like what MIB and OIDs, Ajay? I haven't go through your video.
Class is not there, right? So day before yesterday, we are discussed about the router and all, and
Okay.
we are there, so we are not able to complete the discovery. So that's why I just showcased today on that particular part.
Fine. But my have a few more questions on that. IP
Mhm.
address. Like you are showing IP address, right? There we are mentioning MIBs and OIDs, right? How are we going to identify that it is a uh, is that MIB or is that OID?
Here, so it's mentioned. I just mentioned to you, right? If you see and go
Mm-hmm.
here, it's simply mentioned object ident SNMP object ID. If type is SNMP object ID, it means that is the correct OID, which we need to be pull, which we need to be fetch from here to understand what is the manufacturer and what is the model of that particular device. Somehow, if we are not able to classify that machine in ServiceNow, so that will be the type SNMP object ID. If you go down, you are not able to see that one. So you will see SNMP octet string, this, but not object ID. Right? So where you are able to see the type is SNMP object ID, it means that's the OID which we need to be catch, or which we need to be fetch, and then we have to be search on the internet what is the manufacturer and what is the model of this particular OID. And once we get that informations, like I just did, I just closed that one, might be, yeah. So once I find that informations, I can come to the SNMP OID table and I can create one record there. right? I hope you're getting it.
Yeah, Ajay. And is there any like standards for that, Ajay, for OIDs?
No,
Yeah, for MIB.
standards is nothing. Okay, standard where I am. Okay, let me. I just okay. Standards are nothing, but you know the standard is something this 1.3, 1.3.6. This is so in every OID till here, you know, that is going to be capture the information about the normal, like you know, it's a product, it's something, right? I'm not aware about the complete naming convention of it, but every OID like 1.3 with 1.3.6 something is going to be captured, right? And that's the base of it, right? So every OID most of the time going to be start like that only 1.3, 1.3.6, 1.3.6.1, and then it's going to so and so.
What about the ISO? Like, is a kind of what does it mean, Jay? ISO, ORG, and DOD, and internet. Something is
Yeah,
mentioned that.
that's why I'm saying now.
Um,
You know, no need to be worried about that. This is something who understand the uh, network side, who can help to give more informations, but it's just a basic standard of the OID. So in number one, they are going to be captured ISO 1.3, they are going to be captured ORG 1.3.6 is going to be captured DOD 1.3.6 means information is blank here, but if I just want to capture which organization it is, which is DOD it is, which is internet, what is the management, what is MIB, so I'm able to capture in this particular OIDs for that particular device. This is standard, so every OID is going to be start like that only, right? So if I go and just quickly showcase you again SNMP OIDs, if you see every OID is starting like that 1.3.6.1.4.1, right? Every, if you see every OID is starting with 1.3.6, 1.4, 1.1, right? And after that they have that exact their specific OID related to that device.
Shall we create
Getting?
our own OID, Jay?
No, we are not going to be create our own OID. We are going to be create OID based on that classification prob. This particular where it is. Yeah, it. Yeah, based on this one only. Whatever we are
Okay.
getting object ID, based on that I'm going to be create a record. It's simple. You know, I'm not sure you're getting it or not. Let me tell you once again. Let's take an example. You are running discovery of network devices. No, let's take an example. You are running discovery of Windows devices. Okay. Now you are going to be stuck on this classification phase and you will get here active could not classify. What do you do? What does that mean?
The
What you
credentials issue
are,
might be.
it's credential issue. Now the challenge is little bit more. Credentials is working. What do you do then? You test, you go to credentials, you will test it, the credentials is working. What else you will do?
Might be network and then firewall.
You know, if network and firewall issue is there, that will not classify, right? It's stuck on the first page itself. But still that's active to not classify you are getting, right? So you are going to be troubleshoot, you are going to be check that RPC services first of all for Windows, you are going to be check for what I say, antivirus is not blocking that machine when you are discovering. Third, you can check for the decom ports. Fourth, you can check what credentials, the credentials you are validating, but is the credentials have correct rights, local admin rights is there or not, right? So there are a couple of things you are going to be checked. The same way, whenever you are running discovery for network device, and if you are going to be stuck here, the first step is to check the credentials. It's credential validated. The second step to get that OID, right? So just get that OID from the logs of or input key of this particular one. Find out the OID using the type is SNMP object ID. Copy that OID, search for that one on internet, Simple, just copy this particular OID. I will go to internet. I'm searching and I'm able to find out the OID belongs to which model and which, this particular manufacturer. Once I'm able to get it, I will simply go here. I will create a new record and update that one and trigger the particular, create that, in particular table and trigger the particular classifier based on my understanding and just submit, right? So once I am able to do discovery once again, I'm able to discover that particular device. Getting my point? No.
Yep, Ajay, got now clearly.
If it is not
And
clear,
the model number, all the things client will be provided like how, Jay?
you are able to see on internet. No, I just able to find out quickly. If customer is able to provide, that is more than good, right? But if it is not, then we have to do our research as well, right? So if you see when I put this one, I can see this is there. Model is Cisco 2625 or 2621 basically, right? I'm able to do that. So it's Cisco 2621. So Cisco is the manufacturer, model is 2621, and that's the same thing happening here as well. See, now let me do one more thing. Let me copy, okay, and let's delete this one. Let me give you in a different way to you guys.
Yep, Ajay.
I just deleted this record, okay? Now that record is not there. Now let's go to my discovery. Okay, let me open. Let's close this, close. Yeah, let's go here. Let me run the quick discovery again on that IP. It's not classified as a Windows because it did not find any specific thing. The OID is in that one, right? As I mentioned, what's happening here on that same machine, there are two things is running. One is Windows and one is network protocol, right? I'm not sure how they configured, but that's on the same OS. They have configured two things. One is for Windows and one is for network, right? So that's why it's not discovering and it's going to be classified as a Windows only, right? Now let's do one thing. If I go back, I hope credentials, I just updated the correct one again. Yeah, it's working. Let me go here. I'm just discovering this particular device using a behavior. Let's wait for a couple of minutes to complete that one. So it's classified as a SNMP device. If someone else is also raised hand, meanwhile, okay, Abhi, what do you have? Your questions, right?
Yeah, Ajay. So I was trying to ask like any other type of issues which we are facing for network devices, like frequently in operation. If you can highlight something.
Not that much, right?
Okay.
So basically, most of the time, what I feel what we are facing potential issues in the network side or this particular classification side, which is going to impact operations. Otherwise, the network discovery is most of the time straightforward to do that, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Now I just let you know it's trigger the pattern, but how it's trigger the pattern. We are able to get the same informations here. Is trigger the pattern. Let's complete that one and we'll see. It's triggered the pattern, it's created the CI. It's strange. That's the OID. It's something. What is this? Let me check one moment. We are getting this object ID here. It's discovered because we have already discovered that machine, and that's the reason only. But it can be triggered the generic one as well, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. So basically what I just trying to showcase you guys here now, like, if I delete the SNMP identifier, SNMP ID classifications, discovery will not work basically. But what's happened here, already we discovered device and already that, these things will things is available in affinity that's created that particular device and discovered or updated that particular existing device and discovered it, right? But basically what happened, if your device OID is not available in as an MPOID classifications, that will not discover that machine, and here you will get the error classifications active could not classify one. Right, so just trying to showcase, but that's not working basically because it's already discovered device. Now I think I can give you that particular task. Just on your machine, go and try to discover that particular device, but before discovering the device on the first time, just delete that particular OID, just copy that OID, delete that one, and as well as just see what error you are getting. If you need OID, I can put on the chat. Okay, you can do that one. Any question, any more questions in that one? I think let's move to the next topic, which is VMware vCenter Discovery. Okay, so I don't have any device to be discovered and showcase you how VMware vCenter Discovery works, but I will showcase you through demo data how the things will be looks like in the VMware vCenter, right? So let me simply describe you about that VMware, what is VMware and vCenter and how it's working basically, right? Okay, so let's take an example. You customers ask you to discover vCenter, right? So what they will provide you, they will provide you the vCenter IP that is example 10.0.0.1, right? Now, when you are discovering vCenter, there are lots of component is going to be discovered out of the box. What are the lots of component? You are able to discover ESX servers, which is connected to that vCenter or VMware. You are able to discover virtual machines. You are able to discover data store. You are able to discover virtual network, and so on. There are a couple of other things will be discovered, right? But how that, how that is connected to this particular things basically. So what happens in that virtual machine side? I'm not able to increase the side. Okay, it's working. So what's happened basically, whenever a huge infra or a big infra is purchased by any organizations, to utilize fully that particular infra, they will going to use virtualization softwares, right? So there are a couple of available in the market for the virtualizations. One is vCenter or VMware, second is Hyper-V, which is from Microsoft, and third is Nutanix. That's all these three helping out to provide the virtualizations capability to your infrastructure, right? So it is just simple, in simple words, if I say, you get that VMware software and you install on your hardware. So once you install on your hardware, you will get ESX servers. So example, you have created 8 ESX servers on it, and 8 ESX servers, ESX server 1, ESX server 2. So that is a layer on top of that particular hardware or vCenter ESX servers, and then top of it ESX servers, there are virtual machines running. So it's up to us based on that utilization, based on that, sizing, how many machines we want to be created, right? So we have created 8 ESX servers. Let's create 16 virtual machine. So 16 virtual machine means what I did here, I created two virtual machines on 8 ESX servers, and the same way data store or virtual networks and some other component will be automatically created to give the complete picture of that particular vCenter. So how we are able to do that discovery? We just need, first of all, vCenter IP or the VMware IP, and we need credentials, read-only credentials on that machines, and the credentials looks like the same of Windows Server, right? So it can be a domain credentials with local admin access, or it cannot be, right? And we required some specific port to discover that vCenter is 9443, 443, or 5480. Always remember these things. So credentials, port we required, IP is required. So once you start the discovery of vCenter, how it will be looks like basically, if you are able to see, right? I think let me showcase you from here. So that type of discovery will create, showcase you. This is the name. You are able to see that folders is discovered, data center, VMware virtual machine instance is there. If manual endpoint is there, tag based. This is something manual they have created. ESX servers is discovered, clusters is discovered, again virtual machines and so on, other applications, right? So how? There are two ESX servers basically. As I mentioned, when you are discovering this particular virtual machine, two ESX servers or ESX servers will be discovered. This is my ESX servers, which have normal basic informations again, right? And under that, what is this particular on this particular ESX server, what is running, or under this particular ESX server, what is running, we can also see that, right? So if you see here on this particular CA ESX2, there is one virtual machine instance running. This is that one, right? So in simple words, if I say in the first level, oh, it's a vCenter instance. I open again. Virtual machine. I think here, yeah. So in simple words, if what I say, it give vCenter is give us to a complete picture of our virtualization solution or virtualization image, right? So it give me a complete hierarchy, right? Okay, how many ESX servers we have it, how many virtual machines on it, and how many other components which is related to the virtualization is running on that one, right? But it doesn't mean we are able to discover the virtual machines or that VMware machine instances. That record is also available on Windows Server or the host type, host style basically, right? It just give or create record of it, right? So let me, if I just showcase you from the dependency map, how it looks like basically, it looks like that, right? So if you see here, this is my vCenter CAVC instance one. On top of it, one of my ESX server is running, and top of it, my VMware is running, and top of it, it's connected to one of the tag-based application and a prod service, right? But Now the one thing, and also what network it is connecting, it's connecting to the VMware, this particular network, right? Now one thing is come the picture here is we can also showcase or map this particular virtual machine instance to our host machine. When I'm mentioning about the host machine, the record which specifically created in our host net or host class tables like Windows Server, networks, Solaris, or any other table, right? If I just want to showcase a relationship as well, what should I do? I just need to discover of this particular virtual machine VM02 and create a relationship. So basically auto relationship will be automatically created with that, and top of it you are able to see one Windows server is connected, right? So it gives someone wants to understand you have a virtual machine and that record is available in Windows Server, but where that virtual machine or where that host is running, on which vCenter it is running, which ESX servers is running. So that will give you the complete picture of it, right? If I let me see if I can increase the max, nothing is there. Okay, right. So that's basically give you the complete picture about that particular things. Any questions in that one, first of all?
I'll go through that part, Ajay. I'll get back to you tomorrow.
Oh, sure, no issues. So that's why, because if you see, whenever you are able to discovering the virtual machine instance, you are able to discover these particular attributes only. Name, state is on off, CPU, disk size, memory, and network adapter. That's it. And the relationships with other virtual machine or other components of the vCenter, right? So we have vCenter network is there, data store is there, ESX server is there. That's are the manual endpoint they have created, and again we VMware vCenter instances, right? So you are able to see that, but somehow we have to be discover the complete information about that, right? In that case, if we need a complete information about that, we need to discover or we need to run the host discovery where I'm able to fetch the running processes, install softwares, network adapters, everything, right? So what happens basically, every time when you are doing this one, the two record will be created. One record will be in virtual machine instance table with the same name, and one record will be in Windows Server table, right? So we just need to be little bit understand is there, because we have discovered the vCenter discovery first, and then we have discovered the host discovery, and that's why it's created two records and have relationships between these two records. If I see if there are two records or not with the name, no, only the one record. Discovery is not done for IP, right? And I don't think I can be able to do that, right? So basically, it just to give you the complete picture about your infrastructure or virtualization solutions, how that is working, and where that particular things comes in, useful when you have a impact, right? So let's take an example. You have an impact on ESX server 2 or 1. Okay, so if impact is on ESX server 2 or 1, and you have connected through that event management monitoring systems, you will see the event, right? And you have immediately, whenever you have the particular discovery is done and a clear picture of it, you're able to understand immediately that ESX server have the 2 or 3 virtual machine running, ESX server 1 is running 2 or 3 virtual machines again, and you can take actions immediately, right? If I just showcase you from here, if I click on ESX server, right? So here, if you see on this particular ESX servers, there are 4 virtual machine running. This is one virtual machine, this one, and this one, right? And if you see, there is one incident is also running on it. Some incident or some changes is running on it, right? If I'm not wrong, this is the symbols of that one, right? So if I click, yeah, see that one incident and one change is running on it, right? So that CI basically CAVM01 is impacted. Now the same, like if event management monitoring is doing and find out some issue is on this particular virtual machine, Now you can understand that's connected to ESXv1, ESX1. Immediately you can replace or you can move using the vMotion, which is a feature of that VMware. Immediately you can move this particular machine from ESX1 to ESX2, right? If you want to do that. So it give me some more capability to do those particular things basically, right? And it gave me a clear picture about my hierarchy, my relationships of that particular devices. So I think that's all for today. Any questions from you guys? So we can discuss on that one. Yeah. And I see, Klavya, you mentioned about timeout, right? So just quickly showcase you on that one as well. Whenever you will go mid server, I can go here. Configuration parameters. If I click on new, mid servers, configuration parameters, and new, here is the properties. Right now, the thing is only we just need to be find out the correct property. Example, mid discovery agent command timeout. Max execution of the time is 60-second default or 60 ms default. If you want to increase, you can increase using that, right? The same way, if you are discovering discovery for SSH or SNMP, that is also couple of timeout commands. Is timeout properties are there. Let me. We just need to see. Here it is. Timeout. So mid SNMP request timeout by default is 1500 ms. You can increase it if you want to be little bit more. Mid SNMP timeout, inactivity timeout established session, which is 500 ms. If you want to increase, you can increase. The same way SSH also have it, right? So lots of timeout things available with SSH, SNMP, WMI, and couple of times, we need to use these particular properties. But it's not easy to remember that all properties. What is the use of it? So what should I follow most of the time if I'm getting some issue and while I'm searching on internet and I find out that is some property you have to be do that. I can come here and I can find that property or enable or disable whatever I need to do. I can configure that particular property. Simple, right? So there is one property which is debug mode enabled default by default false. I can enable this one most of the time for debug or debug logging, right? So I can see the logs here on mid server itself, right? If I enable it, I can generate the exact logs on my mid server, all my agent mid server agent logs or wrapper logs here itself, and I do not need to go to the mid server every time to be refer that particular logs. So from here you can configure that properties or that configuration parameters basically. Yeah.
We can configure multiple parameters with the perspective of the timeout.
Yes, we can also configure, right? But my suggestion is like, sorry, go ahead.
Does these parameters, if we say example, if it is set for default 60 seconds, or if we increase it to like, a little more, is this going to impact anything with the performance?
Till the time it's not impacting anything if you are doing in a good manner, right? Like let's take an example in simple words. If I say that they have configured for 60 seconds, right? And you have increased from 60 seconds to 5 minutes, that's okay. But if you increase that same parameter from 60 seconds to 1 hour, that's not correct. Basic why it's not correct, try to understand. The thing is, if something is you're getting time out in 60 seconds, might be time is very less, that's why you're getting. But if you put it for 5 minutes, still you're getting time out, that's not good, right? Whatever which thing is can be complete in 60 seconds and that's taking 5 minutes or 10 minutes, then okay. But if it is taking 1 hour, means there is some issue on that configuration side. Might be configurations whatever configured by the customer, that's the issue, right? Might be the device is very slow to respond, right? Might be that is, legacy device which is not working on the up-to-date versions or these things, right? So that you have to be highlight simply to customer, sir, I have enabled this property for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, but if I'm going to be do more than that, it will definitely impact, because try to understand your thing is occupied, your mid servers, your nodes which is running in the ServiceNow backend or RAM is going to be occupied for that particular transaction only till the time, right?
Okay.
So just be mindful on that side.
Yeah. Ajay, can you share the spreadsheet of our syllabus?
Yes, I can share with you guys.
Yeah, thank you. Because I was trying searching that whether you have shared it or not, but I was not able to locate. So thought of asking.
Yeah, sure, I will do that. Yes, Abhi.
Yeah, just want to understand, like in our cases, we can see that most of the CIs are created, but assets are missing for multiple CIs. So we just came to
So
know way before. Yeah,
assets are missing, right?
right.
So just for that, you need to be understand what assets you are allowed to create, right? So let me give you one simple understanding about that. Assets are going to be managed the monetary value and the life cycle of the assets, right? But in my case, I'm not going to be track the virtual machine life cycles, right? Because end of the day, that particular virtual machine is running on and some physical hardware, right? So I don't want to be create assets on that particular one, right? So might be that is the case. They have write some business rules to stop the do not create assets on virtual machines specifically, right? Or might be you just need to be understand what assets are missing, and then you have to be troubleshoot. Might be that is the only reason. Okay, virtual machines they are not allowed. Only they are allowing to be assets for physical hardwares or router or switch or storage only.
Okay. Yeah, those are Windows servers, but still I am troubleshooting. I will update you as soon as I found anything.
That if it is Windows server, my assets are virtual machine and they don't want to be tracked as an asset.
Okay.
So we can control that one basically.
Okay. I will check and I will update Ajay if anything is.
No issues.
Yeah. Thank you.
Optional.
Hello, Ajay.
Yes.
Can we increase the jump size? Is it
Yeah,
good?
of course. Yeah, we can increase, but again, it's just
What will happen by that means?
hmm?
If we
Sorry.
increase it, what will happen by that?
So there are again Sesame size is that's basically you should follow the discovery schedule thing, and where I am it is, let me see if I have open discovery schedule here. Yeah,
Yes.
here let's go back here, right? So the Sesame batch size is this.
It's by
Okay,
default 1,000.
by default 1,000. So what's happening basically? Let me give an example here. You have 10.0.0.1 slash 20, no, 18. Okay. So if I see in 18, there I think 4,096 IPs are there. I'm just giving a number, rough number. I'm not calculated now immediately, but example, let's take an example. You have 4,096 IPs. What Sesame batch size will do in the 4,096 IPs, they will trigger five Sesame faces, right? So every have 1,000 IPs, right?
Yes.
And then next have 96 IPs. So five Sesame props will be triggered to discover this particular one, right? There is no impact, but if you increase the size of like 1,000 to 2,000, now how many will be triggered? Only the three Sesame prop will be triggered, right? So what will happen if you increase the size of it? 1,000 IPs you are able to see if you need to be troubleshoot or if you need to find out the logs for every 1,000 IPs. I think that's easy to do that. But if meanwhile, if you increase to 2000 or 3000 or 5000, that's sometimes very difficult to identify for, the IP side, which IPs have what ports or what is will be put on a single input queue or input logs basically, right? So I am not denying we cannot increase it, we can increase it, but the thing is, as much as possible we can to use the out of the box process. That's I'm always suggesting. Otherwise, lots of different challenges will occurs basically.
Okay.
And maintaining or checking the logs for 2000 IP from the single input queue is very hectic, right? So what I feel, whatever service now is configured, 95% things it looks to me is they have already received a lot on that particular side, and then they decided to put like that. Let's configure Sesam batch size is 1000, or that particular timeout for 1500 ms and all, right? So they just put it to be standard everything, right? They also be configured like standard normal SNMP timeout for 1 hour, a Sajam batch size for 5000. They have, that's easy for them as well. But they have also do some research, and based on that, they have decided to be very standard. So instance impact will not be there. Performance impact will not be there.
Okay. Thank you.
Right? Thank you. So that's the only thing. Yeah. Any other questions from anyone else?
Yes, Ajay, that public password for all instance will be same.
नहीं यार, sorry I use Hindi, but public I just use to update or showcase you that is one of the credentials available.
Yeah, why I'm asking, because if I'm changing it to something else, because when I run also it's not working. So I should not mess up the existing setup, right? So that's the reason I'm asking, because we cannot see it, right? It's an encrypted.
Yes.
That's so the reason. By default, will it be public, or if I change it again, it will have any issue? Whether I can change it back?
There is no issue. You can change it, but by default, when you have demo instance or your PDI, that is basically using the public string only, right? So as I mentioned, like in simple words, if I tell you, whenever you are going to be purchase your mobile or you are going to be purchase something, some by default password will be there, right?
Yes.
What you do, logging to that machine and changing the password. Or some pupils, lazy pupils will do, yeah, why I need to be change the password? This password is there, now let's leave it. So they are going to use the existing one only. Right. Okay. So what's happened here, whenever you're purchasing SNMP device, the public string will be as a password there out of the box. If you change it, then okay, you will, you have to be required the new password. If you want to change it, that sometimes the public string which is there out of the box, that can be helped to discover lots of devices, because customer forget to change it and they created new password altogether. Right. So here in my case, which IP I just used to discover, that is public 2. That is, they change it from public to public 2, number 2. Okay. So that's why it's not working, and now it's working.
Okay, Ajay. Yeah, I got it. Thank
you. Yeah. Okay, guys.
Ajay, I have it.
I think.
Sorry. Hello.
Yeah. Go ahead, please.
Ajay, I have one issue, like in a particular table there is a one field, like on that particular field no client scripts and no ACLs has been written, but only one thing is edge inscription attribute is true. Because of that particular field I'm not able to edit. Is that means like due to that it is not able to edit, like how it is, Ajay? Any idea on that?
What is the field on which table it is?
It is on the table name. Risk event.
Risk event.
Yeah.
Is this custom table?
SN underscore risk underscore advanced event table. It is a part of GRC, Ajay.
Oh, okay. Okay. So might be
There one field is there. Data of story. So whenever based on the roles, it is able to edit. Suppose I am the admin, I can able to edit. But suppose if not part of the admin role, because he's not able to edit, and I check that ACLs are not written for the particular persons, but only one thing is has been written. The edge encryption attribute is true.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that side. I think let me check it. I cannot commit anything on now, but might be
Okay.
that can be possibility that is for edge encryption, or might be something is written, might be ACL or policy or something is there 100%, because due to that only you are able to restrict that particular field to enable or disable to users or the roles, right? Just see one thing, for that particular table, what are the roles required on internet,
Okay.
on ServiceNow docs? Just see that one and see to provide that particular specific roles to that particular users to that particular table specific, right? So just see, might be some role specific things, might be it's not it's allowed to admin because you are admin, but sometimes what happen, some basic roles are there which you can provide, so they based on that they can also modify that particular attributes, right? Specific to tables roles are there. Just see for
Okay,
that.
Ajay. But I cross-checked all the things, because I didn't find out any, policies and ACLs on that particular field, like, field level ACLs as well. And even I cross-checked any other scripts are restricting like that also. That is also didn't work. The only one thing is like edge underscore inscription underscore attribute is true. So I know service no like the community, and they say that there someone has been mentioned like, okay, it is also be a reason to unable to edit that.
That can be possible, but I am, because I not checked on that one.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see that attribute determines the possibility of the field is encrypting by user, determines whether service side script may append or non-encrypted. That can be possibility, right? That can, but I have not checked on that side, but I will check and let you know on that side. Like, might be the reason is as encryptions basically.
Yep. That's why, because this is the first time I was looking that encryption part. Most of the thing is we can control with some ACLs or UA policies, and we'll go to that. But this is a different. I think it is out of the box, I think.
Right. Age encryptions is out of the box. Yeah, no
Yep.
issues. Let me check and update you. No issues.
Yeah, sure, Jay. Thank you, Jay.
Okay, sure. Thank you guys. Have a good day. We'll connect you tomorrow at the same time.
Yeah,
Bye bye.
thanks. Bye.